Hey everybody, it's Boardman21 and today we're going to go over the Lich Reaper form using Harvest. Now we're still going to incorporate Death Seal, but we're going to try and not do as much damage with Death Seal. We want our damage to come from Harvest, but the reason that we want to implement using Death Seal is because of the good damage boost, the global damage boost that it can give you, which will make Harvest do more damage. Now again, this is going to be a melee build in Reaper where we will be utilizing as much Leech as possible. We'll be using some of the new affixes with a lot of the old, and most of our damage will indeed come from Harvest. We'll be trying to get as close to 100% crit as possible, and it's a decently fun build, and it's definitely one that will be viable long after they nerf Death Seal down to the ground. Now again, Death Seal's damage will eventually go back to normal levels, and when it does, it can still be used as a great source of buffing yourself for more damage or more poison chance, or in our case, we're going to be using it for the trio of things you can get: poison chance, increased damage, and armor and protections per missing health. So the more health you have, the more protections you can get, which kind of the same percentage, because the more health you have, the more armor protections it takes to get the same damage mitigation. But again, if you're looking for a different way to play the Leech because you are tired of Death Seal, granted this one still incorporates it, that's not where the damage is coming from though. This is a fun melee build. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, we're going to be running Rip Blood, Death Seal, Harvest, Transplant, and Reaper form. For Rip Blood, we have this set up to do some poison with splatter. We have 2 points in Hemomancer, 5 points in Gushing Wound, 1 point in Septic Wound, 5 points in Splatter, 1 point in Eviscerate, 2 points in Crimson Flood, 1 point in Revile, and 3 points in Septic Blood. For Death Seal, we have 3 points in Moratorium, 5 points in Corrupted Consciousness, 1 point in Moral Pulse, 3 points in Tachycardia, 3 points in Desperate Shroud, 4 points in Puissant Presence, and 1 point in Deadlock to automatically take you down to 33% of your maximum health when it's active. This will do two things. One, since you'll have 67% missing life, that will activate all three of these. You'll have poison chance based on that missing health, you'll have more increased global damage because of it, and you will have armor and protections per 10 missing life. On top of that, once you get below the 35% maximum health, which is what this will do, your passive in the Lich tree and your passive skills that gives you triple damage when at low life will now be activated. So you get a lot more damage. We will still be using Moral Pulse, but because we are not using a spell damage weapon, we're using a melee Sabna, the damage of this is actually really small. So a lot of your damage, most of your damage, will indeed come from Harvest, which will be boosted by 1, the poison, and 2, the increased global damage that you get out of this. For Harvest, we have 2 points in Finality, 5 points in Skull Shards for that 300% increased hit damage every 6 hits. We have 1 point in Harrowing Blade, 3 points in Great Scythe, 3 points in Spectral Whetstone, and 6 points in Symbol of Loss for a 78% increased damage, multiplicative damage, against enemies that are marked for death. Now, we are not running Mark of Death. However, in Reaper form, whenever you are in Reaper form, which will be all of the time, you have a percentage chance, I believe it's 15% chance, to mark an enemy for death just on any hit. And that is why Harvest will incorporate this, because after a couple of hits you're going to have Mark of Death on the enemy, and then you will be getting increased damage against them. This really helps against bosses and single targets. For Transplant, we have this to cast Rip Blood automatically. It's also our good movement skill. We have 3 points in Bone Armor, 1 point in Acolyte's Fervor, 3 points in Dance of Blood, 5 points in Sadism for that increased global damage, 1 point in Rain of Blood, 2 points in Scarlet Rain, 2 points in Black Mirror, and 3 points in Depravity. And then for Reaper form, you want to get as much damage out of this while getting the Mark of Death chance on hit, and get as much Leech as possible. We have 2 points in Mistress of Decay, 4 points in Harbinger of Blood, 3 points in Death Touch Scythe, 2 points in Executioner for some crit multiplier, 3 points in Haunting for that 15% chance to mark enemies for death with any hit while you're in Reaper form. It is doubled for Reap. 2 points in Soul for a Soul for 40% increased damage, and 4 points in Reaper's Curse for 100% increased damage, 100% increased crit chance for the simple sacrifice of 2% of your life on kill. And then for passives, we have 26 points in the Acolyte base class with 8 points in Blood Aura, 5 points in Blood Pact, 5 points in Crimson Gluttony, and 8 points in Forbidden Knowledge, 0 points in the Necro, and 83 points in the Lich. We have 8 points in Crippling Insight, 8 points in Survival of the Cruel, 8 points in Dance with Death, 5 points in Grasp of Fate, 8 points in Unclosing Wounds, 10 points in Volatile Blood, 5 points in Deathbringer, 3 points in Dark Guard, 5 points in Clairvoyant Insight, 10 points in Necrotic Energy, 8 points in Ageless Ascetic, and 5 points in Soul Maul. For items, there are 2 types of idols that you're going to be going for. You want the damage increased while transformed with any suffix that you want. We have cooldown with Transplant. The other one is you're going to want is percent of damage leached as health on hit. This will help your life stay full, especially while Death Seal is active with all those harvest hits. And then for the weapon, you want a Sabna. We went with melee attack speed and melee critical strike chance. However, you can do plus physical damage. You can do percent increased melee damage. For me, I really like having a lot of attack speed so that we can get Mark of Death on the enemy quicker. And I wanted to get as close to 100% melee critical strike as possible, so we added that as well. I tried it with another weapon that had plus melee physical damage and increased necrotic damage, and the damage was about the same, but you attacked slower, so it didn't make a huge difference. So we stuck with the melee critical strike chance and the melee attack speed. For the jewelries, you're going to want set dodge and set health. The more health you have, the better. You're going to want more health because the more health that you have, the more that will be missing when you go down to 33%, which means the more armor and protections you will get. We are running some of the new affixes. You want the percent increased physical damage while transformed, and you want the shared necrotic damage. And then on the helm, we got 3% of harvest damage is leached as health. That's very useful for keeping your life as full as possible. For the belt, we're running dodge. For the boots, we're running dodge. And for the gloves, you want melee attack speed and as much life as possible. Alright, with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some gameplay. As you might have guessed, all you're going to do is you're going to activate Reaper form, you're going to activate Death Seal, and you're just going to keep transplanting and reaping to the closest enemy and hitting them with Harvest as much as possible.